Welcome to the Mother Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Aungelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today.
Everything's better. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo. Mother and daughter, oh, they're the greatest duo.
Hey, mothers and daughters. I tell you something funny. I'm weird when I watch TV. And the reason I say that is because I usually have anywhere from 2 or 3 months of conversation that I can come here and share with you. And I do that simply because I never want to ever run out of topics. And with my motor mouth, it's never going to happen. But I was just thinking about that because I do have friends who do like gossip shows and things like that. And when it's a really, really a really slow week on the gossip, they don't have any shows. They literally don't have any shows. And so they may go 2 or 3 days and not do a show because nobody broke up with nobody or fought nobody or nobody died or, just things like that. But I say that to say this. I had a different show, of course, already scheduled because my whole month is already topiced out and interviewed and everything. I had a topic I was going to do today, but I was thinking, and I'd be minding my own business. I promise you, I'd be minding my own business. But I was catching up on, I should say, The Flash. Yes, I like The Flash. I really like Candace Patton that plays on there. She's a girl from Mississippi, and she's an actress that I haven't seen in any other things. I know she's been in other things, but I really like the fact that they mixed her into the show because she's a young girl. She's from Mississippi. I like that part about it, that they have her added to the show. And I like that from day one when I started watching The Flash years ago on CW. Now that I don't have local channels or cable or nothing like that, it now comes over on Netflix. So I do have that. I was watching The Flash, and it was an all-out battle this season. And I think I'm a season behind, but this season that I was watching is an all-out battle. And The Flash was just saying he can't believe how this feud of jealousy has gone on. We're talking hundreds of years because, of course, these superheroes, they live in the multiverse and there's multiple of them, and they've been around for hundreds and hundreds and millions of years because they lived in other universes. That's just the way the show goes. And they have really, in the last couple of years, really been challenging my brain as they have been exploring this multiverse, because I'm wondering, where are all the other Dawns on the other universes? And why can't we, at least on one of my birthdays, like we all get together? See, mental health is really real, for real. But I just was thinking about what he was saying is that because they had this all-out brawl and war, and he was saying that it's a shame that through all of these generations and millennia, just through all of this time, that this one particular villain wanted him dead simply because of jealousy. And then it's so funny that the day after I was finished The Flash, I was watching this lady and she was saying jealousy is the root of somebody wanting something you have, or wanting to be like you, or fearing like they're missing out from being like you, living like you, having your joy, having your peace, having your family, having your whatever, your job, whatever. And she gave a great example. She said, I'm fine with you living in a fancy upscale apartment in New York and that you've got everything you want. She's like, look, I don't want that. So why would I be jealous of something I don't want? So it's typically jealousy of something you want. And when Flash said that, I was like, okay, it was like a rope reeled me in even deeper, which now brings me to my original point, which is today I got to talk about superheroes. And the reason I have to talk about superheroes is because they have just inspired me. And we're talking about someone who used to be able to say, I could care less. About as deep as I ever got with a superhero was that I liked Wonder Woman. And I loved for real me some Incredible Hulk. I mean, I think on one of the past shows I told y'all that I used to literally dream about marrying the Incredible Hulk. I had one time had a dream that I was drowning in a pool and he saved me. I'm talking about a real dream as a teenager. And I'm not talking about Lou Ferrigno saved me. No. The Green Man. I think the Incredible Hulk is sexy green. David Banner. No. Green. Oh yeah. That right there. It does it for me. But I mean, again, I got my own issues. I deal with that later. So I'm gonna just share with you just some thoughts that I just felt like were fun and it would make an interesting show. And I just wanted to really kind of explore why we love superheroes so much. I'm going to give you my reasons at the very end on why I always loved the heroes that I loved, which I'll talk about Wonder Woman and Incredible Hulk. I mean, I'm just going to, that's as deep as it got for me when I was a kid. I didn't really get into the other superheroes until I had sons, and then my sons were into the movies and they introduced me. One loves DC Marvels more. I mean, one loves DC comics more. The other one loves Marvel more. I never knew it was two separate things. That's just how much I knew. All right. So, in my mind, after watching The Flash, this is what I feel are the reasons we always have loved superheroes. Just from being a kid and the kids having the little, I guess they used to call them figurines and now they maybe call them collectibles. I don't know. But in my mind, I think that we've always loved superheroes, or we love them now, of course, is because we always want to know the origin story of them. Okay, listen, y'all gonna laugh at me. But I was nearly 50 years old when I realized where Superman came from. I never knew about where Superman came from, where the powers were. I never knew this is going to sound real stupid. I never knew that they had introduced a mother and father into this. I thought he just came from nowhere. Again, it's that thinking of what we were taught as a kid. Like, you've never seen God, you've never seen what he looks like, you can't describe him. And that is the persona that a lot of these superheroes take on, is like the godlike persona. And so, because we believe that story, it's very easy to believe possibly that Superman was just created and out of, dust. But I saw something that explained his parents, and I was just like, what? This might have been during the last year or 2020. It could have been 2020 when I learned that. And I was just like, what? So the origin story is so important because two things. You're either going to be like, wow, interesting, or you're going to be like, that was me. I was a plain person. So you're telling me I can be plain and a geek and then turn into this big muscly or this sexy, superhero woman or man? I could do that. It's the whole dream of it all. The audacity to think of it at all. It's just interesting. It's my brain working, y'all. The next thing I think is, since we were born, I'll put the word born, and I was going to say a baby, but I'm just going to say even before you're born, when you're in your mother's womb. And I've had 4 children, so I'm going to stand on this very firm that since you're in your mother's womb, you depend on your mother. You're depending on that cord to get you all the nutrients that you need to get to your body that comes from your mother's belly button. It's just what you need. You need this. So you trust her. But when you're born, That's why you have such a close bond. This is why mothers are treated so differently than fathers. We know this from Mother's Day and Father's Day. Just look around. We know what happens during the month of May. We get to plan in the month before for Mother's Day. And I'm going to go ahead on and confess. I start thinking about it the month or two before, and I'm always the one that on Father's Day, I always forget it. One of the reasons is because my dad has not been here for 21 years. So I don't celebrate Father's Day because there is no other man I would ever call my father or my dad. Even if I was today years old and my mom came to me and said, by the way, the man that you always thought was your father is not your father, but here's Mr. Whoever, here's Mr. Alfonso. He's really your dad. Mr. Alfonso can go on and go about his business, and he can go on and continue to live his life, and he never has to worry about me ever, because I will not be building a relationship with Mr. Alfonso. Not at 50 years old. I'm not going to get to know Mr. Alfonso. So whoever was the man that I said was my dad, that's the one I would give respects to. That's me. I ain't telling y'all to do that. So don't be like, let me go tell my stepdaddy he ain't the one. No, no, no. I'm talking about me. But I think it's because since we were a baby, we've depended on being protected by our families, and I mean by our mothers and our parents. Look at the same thing we do with superheroes. The other day I was watching Spider-Man. I don't know why I'm now starting to go back and look at the stuff that I'm like, I can't stand watching that. So the other day I went back and I started watching Spider-Man, and it's the one where the uncle got killed. His uncle got killed because he was coming to look for him, and he ended up getting randomly killed. And oh man, one of my favorite actresses is his grandma on there, which is Sally Field. I like me some Sally Field. Ooh, when she played in that series on ABC called Brothers and Sisters. Oh my goodness, that was a good show. That whole cast ensemble was amazing. But anyway, it's whatever that episode is that Sally Field is his grandmother, and the episode where the uncle got killed. So I don't know which Spider-Man it is. I promise you, I probably ain't watched none of these shows in order, so I don't know which one is the first, second. I don't know any of them. And now with all the spinoffs, I can't keep up, and I'm not going to try. I'm going to just randomly, when my mind says check that out, I'm going to check it out, because then I always get good nuggets when I tell myself to check something out. It happens every day. I'll be looking at one thing and then I'll discover something else, and like it's the best thing I could have ever clicked on. So I think that's a good explanation of that we always want to be protected, and those superheroes, they supply us with the thought that they can protect us. I hope y'all agree with that, because I'm telling you, that's my truth. Okay. We wonder what the reflection is from them to us. Okay. What I mean by that is, like, for example, I remember when I was a kid, I used to like the $6 Million Man. I used to like the Incredible Hulk. I used to like Wonder Woman. Those were kind of like the superhero. I was never into like Batman or anything like that. I always thought that was for boys. More of a boy show than a girl show. So, or a show that a girl like me would like to watch. So to me, the reflection of Wonder Woman was that I just thought she was so beautiful. She had such beautiful long black hair. She had gorgeous blue eyes and a really, really great body. And I used to just always wonder, well, I wonder if I could ever dress up in a costume like that. Okay, well, my hair is brown too. I don't have blue eyes, but I've got that nice, olive color skin, and all of that. And she wasn't doing too much. Like, Wonder Woman was not out there sweating and all of that. And I was just like, she was really doing her thing in a cute way. And I used to be like, I could do the cute like that too, So that's the thing. But then also, when you think about this, is gonna blow y'all away, because my mind is like, I'm going with this along. I made my points, but I'm explaining them as I go along. So think about the Incredible Hulk. David Banner just be minding his own business. He don't bother nobody. He's smart. He got a job. He do stuff in his regular life. And then somebody go and tick him off. Think about yourself. You're minding your business. You at the Walgreens, and you ain't bothering nobody. You just decided you needed a honey bun. And you go to Walgreens and you get a honey bun. and somebody say the wrong thing to you because they're having a bad day. So they come up to you and just say, you know what, you just ugly and you are this, that, and the other thing. And they just cuss you out and just tell you, and by the way, you ain't gonna be nothing. I can tell you ain't nothing. And you ain't cute, by the way, and your eyebrows are ugly or whatever. Whatever the thing is that would tick you off to the point that you would be thinking, who are you to talk to me like this? You don't even know. So, you know, when they do things or they tick off the Incredible Hulk and he gets so mad that he be busting out his pants. Oh, it's so sexy. Anyway, he be busting out of his shirt, busting out of his pants, busting out of his shoes because the anger is so just way up there. Have you ever like described to somebody, I done had it up to here, and then you literally take your hand and you put it above your head, kind of like a salute in the air, like I've had it up to here. That was the reflection from like the Incredible Hulk. It's like you had it up to there. For example, with the $6 million man, when he needed to be really, really, really strong, he tapped into those powers. Like us, when we need to be really, really strong and not worry about when somebody's insulting us, we literally have to tap into the Holy Spirit within ourselves to keep from snatching people up. I'll never forget one day I was watching Ally McBeal. I never knew about Ally McBeal. I never watched it. But one year I had a birthday and I said, and this was maybe about 10 years ago, maybe. I said, there's three DVD and still we was watching DVDs. I said, there's three DVDs I want. I want every single episode of I Love Lucy. I want every episode of Three's Company, and I want every episode of Ally McBeal. And I bought every one of them for my birthday. That was my 3-pack treat that I got on Amazon. And I was watching Ally McBeal, and she had let this little young girl move in with her. And the little young girl was very sassy. She was very rude. She was nasty. She wasn't paying no rent. She wasn't doing her chore. She was not doing her part. And Ally McBeal used to say things so nice to her. And then in her mind, though, she would imagine what she would do. And one day, the little girl said something and popped off at the mouth. And in Ally's mind, she had went behind the little girl and took her foot and put it in her back and pushed her to the wall. I promise you, there have been times raising even my own kids that I have wanted to snatch them up. And you know that strength that the $6 million man used to have, where he will take them by the neck, like the shirt neck, and then lift them up to the top part of the ceiling when he wasn't even that tall, but lift them up to the top part of the ceiling and just keep on talking noise. And see, there have been times that I have to have a conversation in my head to say, Lord, do not let me snatch this person up, because I really don't want having the cops called to my house ever to be on my record. Like, I've lived in my house for 25 years and I've never had to call the cops to this address. I've never had to call the cops to any address, but I don't want that on my record. See, I'm very particular about my record. Since I mentioned that, when I say I'm particular about my record, is I'm particular about that kind of record. I'm particular about the record of men that I've talked to. I'm particular about the record of women I'm friends with. I'm particular about the record of where I show up and what I do, because you may not know it, but I have to live with it. So I'm particular about my record. But anyway, I think it's a reflection of when we see them, we try to figure out what part of that we could possibly be. Like Batman, for example. I have never really sat down and watched the actual Batman movie, but just kind of looking at some of the reviews as I was thinking about putting the show together, it's all about the hiding behind the dark black suit and nobody being a mystery of nobody knowing you could be the guy that works right there in the office next to them. Kind of like Superman, he worked for the paper place, the paper company, and they never knew, Clark Kent was, the guy who was saving everybody. Like Spider-Man, they never knew he was Spider-Man. And the one man that found out who he was, his girlfriend's father, which was the police chief guy, he ended up dying, saving, everybody. So it's like that reflection of, I wonder if I could be a hero. And a hero doesn't mean even really on that level. A hero just could be in your hometown, could be just in your life. Okay. I think another reason why we like superhero movies is because it shows us some unique challenges and we all face them. Unique challenge can be in work, it can be in personal life, it can be in family, it can be in relationships, it can be, any kind of, it could be a physical, mental, uh, literally any kind of challenge you can think of. But it shows us the unique challenges. For example, some of the superheroes were maybe bullied when they were younger, and then they became superpower strengthened, and then they could do something about it, or they could keep it quiet and just, on kind of on the cool, do something about it. So think about those unique challenges that you face and using some of those superpowers to get rid of them, get rid of those issues. If you're shy or if you're not capable of doing something because you haven't learned how to do it, that's just something different. Which brings me to the point of not being capable to do something. I just heard on a YouTube video a pastor that was complaining that his church was broke, busted, and disgusted and had not bought him a Movada. I had to go Google that because I don't know what that is. Had not bought him a Movada. I hope I'm saying it right. A Movada watch. Oh, I didn't even look to see how much it cost. I just looked at it and said, ugh, whatever. Didn't buy him a Movada watch, and maybe for like a event, pastor's anniversary, they'd be expecting a home car, Lamborghini, and everything else, the sun, moon, stars, and then a little cash to go with it. So for the anniversary together as husband and wife, and for the anniversary for the church, they be wanting everything and then some with a little extra oomph on it. But the first thing I thought about when I saw that pastor complaining and talking, and it was the same thing with what's her name? Kim Burrell. I said the same thing in my mind. And let me tell you first why I said it. Because I used to go to a mega church, and the one thing I did like about it is that we had a small business ministry. It was a big small business ministry, and it was a little slutty, and that's why I got out of it. But it was there, and you didn't have to be slutty to be in it. But it sure did give the ones that were slutty points. I didn't last long because my sluttiness don't work like that. But anyway, I also went to another church right after that, which is the very last church I've ever stepped foot in. I went to a church like that after that for quite a while. And I actually ended up starting a small business ministry there and basically showed some of the other churches of Christ how to start their own small business ministries. My point is that I was wondering when I saw Kim Burrell say what she said a month or so ago or whatever in 2022 when she said it, and then watching this other preacher say what he said. And then even as I think about it, think about the preacher who allegedly said that he got robbed in his church. And I'm saying to myself, why Kim Burrell got to be insulting people? Why this other pastor got to be putting these allegedly fake robberies together? And we already see that he scammed so many people. Somebody did a whole expose on him last night on YouTube and broke down from the time he started scamming to the time he went to prison to the time the alleged um, robbery happened. And then this last preacher who was talking about he mad because they didn't get him no Movado watch, and here he is waiting all this time and he still don't have it. And the first thing I thought when I first heard Kim, secondly the pastor that got robbed in this one, do you have a small business ministry in your church so you can teach the people how to go get the money if you want them to give it to you? Because I'm gonna tell you something, when generous people who know you, like you, love you, and trust you, and they have money, oh, they're gonna make sure you get it. They're gonna make sure, because there's a thing about some people, they have like this thing, I think they call that guilt, and they feel like your words can guilt them into giving you something. I think I told my mom one time, I said, it's unfortunate I wasn't born with the guilt gene. And it's not that I really wasn't born with the guilt gene. It's just that going to Sunday school at a big church when I was little, them guilting you into having to always have a speech for Sunday school, it annoyed me so bad that I resisted having the guilt gene. Because if you come to me and ask me, I need you to say 2 or 3 sentences about what you learned in Sunday school, and if I say I don't want to get up in front of everybody and speak, and then you force me to do it, then I'm about to get up there and just say Jesus well. I'm not telling you nothing I learned. I'm just going with John 3:16 or Jesus. I'm gonna say the dumbest thing that comes out of my mouth because you didn't leave me a choice to decline. So I'm just going to say anything. So the guilt thing left me after I left that church. I was done. You would never guilt me into doing anything or feeling any kind of way to make yourself feel better. Never. And that was, I was 21 years old when I left that church, and I'm now, older than that. But think about it. Think about some of these things I'm saying about these superheroes and why we love them so much. Think about your kids if you have any, and why they love them so much. They may be tapping into their human powers, and thinking about how they can compare themselves. Moneybag Yo say you can't compete where you can't compare. Well, now when we can compare, now we can compete. In the words of Moneybags Yo. For y'all who don't know him, don't worry about it. It ain't no big deal. I be listening to everything. Stuff I ain't got no business listening to, but I be learning so much. So we love superheroes because it helps us to also tap into our human powers. And not only does it help us tap into our human powers, but we start to want to learn more about superhuman powers. So now we're getting into the prayer. Now we're getting into the rituals. And if you go back into your ancestry, I don't care what race you are, if you go into your ancestry, like go all the way before the 1400s, go back to the way back. And I bet your ancestries did some type of voodoo, some type of hoodoo, some type of prayer ritual, water ritual, blood ritual, speaking in tongues ritual, all kinds of manifesting and rituals. So don't try to tell me like this is not normal. This is not, you shouldn't be doing. Forget what you're talking about. I'm telling you what I know. So I don't care what race you are, somebody in your family did some praying. That is also considered superhuman powers. When you can pray and manifest things, that is a superhuman power. Sometimes even you can't even answer how that happened. It has happened to me so many times that I have not been shocked about it in forever. Another reason why I know that we love the superhuman, I mean the superpower and the superheroes is because it teaches us a little bit about the unknown. So like I was watching one of the shows and it was very godlike. It was the I want to take over the world, I want to rule humans. I want to make sure that I can move my hand and the world will move to the tune. Very godlike persona. So the unknown, I think, is also the excitement for us. And then I will never forget the first time when I was watching whatever superhero movie and then they reveal themselves and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. That's why people get so excited when like different people play different superheroes. Like when Ben Affleck played Batman, everybody loved it. But then they had a rumor that they were bringing back Michael Keaton from back in the day, and people my age and older, well, we like Michael Keaton because he's the older guy and he's the one that he was good at it. He was awesome at it. He was Batman. Mm-mm. They did a test run on that, and the youngsters they prefer Ben Affleck over Michael Keaton. They pretty much say you too old to be our Batman. Ben Affleck is holding himself together. I don't know since he got married to J-Lo if he's holding himself together. But I kind of wish they didn't reveal themselves because then when I find out who they are, sometimes I don't like them. Like for example, I'm gonna just tell you how biased I really am. I really wanted Ben Affleck and Jen Garner to stay together. Let me tell you why. I don't know nothing about these people. I'm telling you from my perspective. I love me some Jennifer Garner. I love her from the series Alias. I was the person whose Alias used to come on Sunday nights. So I had a routine. Sex in the City would come on. I know Alias would come on at 9. Sex in the City would come on at 10. When my kids were little, they would go to bed between 7:30 and 8. Then I would have time to make sure everything was picked up and cleaned up and everything was ready for school the next day or whatever. And then I would go in my bedroom. I would lock the door, get myself all bathed up and everything, and be in front of that TV at 9 o'clock for Alias to come on because me and Jennifer Garner, we was kicking butt. Matter of fact, I found Alias on Hulu and rewatched the whole series again about 5 or 6 months ago, and I had the same excitement for it now as I had way 10 years or more ago, 10, 20 years, whatever ago. So when Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck got together, I was like, I don't know him, but I'll take him. He good. He look all right. Because she had been married to another guy. And I was like, okay, I think she was married to the Foley guy, the one that played in a lot of other shows like Scandal and all that I used to like. But I didn't see that as a good fit anyway. But I liked me some Jennifer Garner. I was so upset when she married Ben Affleck, and then she started to have the nerve to want to have babies, and then they canceled Alias, baby. When I tell you, if the girl came back and played Alias today, whatever I'm doing on whatever night that is at whatever time, I'm gonna be watching TV. And I don't have regular TV or cable, but I know a lot of people that like me enough to give me their password. And that's all I have to say about that. And allegedly. I like me some Jennifer Garner, and that's why I liked her with Ben Affleck. Now, again, disclaimer, I don't care who Ben is with. I don't care nothing about that. All I'm saying is I like Jennifer, so I liked her being with him. And so that's what made me like the fact that he played Batman. Other than that, he can kick rocks. He can kick rocks. I don't care if he ever play Batman again. I don't care. I'll take Michael Keaton over him now. And again, disclaimer, I'm not saying I don't like him with Jennifer Lopez. I just like Jennifer Garner. That's all. All right. So the unknown, we like the unknown of the superhero and the unknown of what the superhero can do, of course. Now let's talk a little bit about our personas. So the persona of being able to go from ordinary to extraordinary, y'all know we do that in our everyday lives. When the superheroes do it, it just looks more extra because of the CGI and because of the cinematic touch and the director's point and the producer's ideas and the actor or the actress that you get to play that role. But our personas excite us. And the persona of, let's take, for example, let's say basically most of your 95% of your life, you're a nun. You're a nun. But when your birthday come around or a special occasion come around, or you find yourself in Tula, Mexico, or in another country where you can really let loose, then you can be a nun 95% of your life, or you find a new love that you just want to do some great things with. And then at 5% of your life, you can let loose and be whoever and be, you know, a bold person and all of these things. That's another show I like on one of Freeform or something called The Bold Type. Young girls working in a fashion magazine and just making bold decisions at their young darn age. I just love those girls. That whole cast and crew is amazing too. It's called The Bold Type on Freeform. It's a very, if you're a high schooler, you'll love it. Well, I just stopped thinking maybe a couple of years ago. I just stopped thinking I was a high schooler and that maybe I shouldn't be watching those type of high school shows. But if you give me a good storyline and I'm going to learn something from you, I don't care. So our personas, the idea that we can go from ordinary, the nun, to extraordinary, drop it like it's hot, girl, that's kind of exciting. And it doesn't harm you to know that you can be all of those things and still be a great person. And everybody doesn't even have to know the other persona, which is kind of like these superheroes. Like, you never know when you're sitting next to the superhero, but guess what? You never know when you're sitting next to the villain at work either. You can think about that. You know, where there's a positive, there's going to be a negative, or where there's a negative, there's always going to be a little positive. So think about that. I'll give you a story here. I got a lot of stories because I've been around a long time now. I used to work for, I'm not going to say the company or the name of the person. I used to work for a company, and we used to work in a particular location where we had to sit in close proximity to each other. Well, I had this one guy who was cool as a fan, used to sit next to me, and we got to know each other. He worked for the company maybe about 3 or 4 years. And I just loved working next to him. One thing I loved about him is that he always came to work in dress pants. He was always clean, ironed up, dress shoes. We used to call them church shoes. He was always cleaned up, always smelled good, always had a fat pocket of water money. And when I tell you he was professional on the phone, whew, he was professional on that phone. Let me tell you, you would have never known from the noise that he used to talk and the jokes he used to tell me at the desk, like jokes that nowadays you could get fired for, or you could get written up for, or you could be me too'd or whatever. But it was just jokes. You know, he never said nothing against me or to me to disrespect me. He just would tell jokes about stuff and I would just laugh. And then one day we were just talking or whatever. And he was counting his money. Of course, I'm nosy. I sit right next to you, dude. He was counting his money. It was like over $10,000. And I was like, called his name. I was like, man, you be packing a lot of money. He said, yeah, I'm buying pizza for everybody today. I was like, okay, cool. He said, yeah, and I know you like yours with extra olives and you like spinach, right? I'm like, yes. He said, okay, I'm gonna get you your own pizza because you're the only one like all that crap on there. Everybody else like pineapples on their pizza and hot peppers, and I'm like, yeah. So he got me my own little small pizza. And he finally told me, after knowing him for about 3 years, he told me that he sold drugs. He said, but I have to have a job to make it look right. He said, I live in a mansion. He's like, I drive the car that I want. My wife drives the car that she wants. He said, but look out the window. You see that little beat up Chevy truck? That's what y'all gonna see at work. And I was like, wow. He said, but yeah, I sell drugs. That's why every now and then I have to go to Mexico. I said, oh, okay. I ain't never say nothing after that. I act like this man never told me that. I told my brain the whole time we were at that job, so I would never tell nobody at work. I told my brain, delete, delete. And I never told nobody else what he told me. And that's why I say I'm not going to say the company. I'm not going to say his name or nothing. But again, I was sitting right next to the villain because the people that he's selling the drugs to, he is the villain to them. To his family, he's a superhero. At the job, he was just a regular dude sitting next to me answering the phone. And I was the supervisor. So, you know, we just used to talk about everything. And I just told him how much I respected him and liked him because he was always so professional. He came to work in slacks. Everybody else want to come in jeans and stupid stuff. Now he came to work like hung his jacket on the back of his seat and sat down with his crispy white shirt on and a tie with some slacks and some patent leather shoe. I mean, like he was serious. Hair was always fixed, groomed up in the face, very professional, could speak English and Spanish. You would have never known. You would have never known. So anyway, villain can sit next to you. Superhero could sit next to you. The ordinary person can sit next to you. You never know who you're sitting next to. But I do remember TD Jake saying many years ago, nothing just happens. So if you end up sitting next to someone that you learn some things about, it could be for the purpose that now you have something to add to stories in your life. Like me having that story on that guy, I share it whenever. Like I haven't been at that company for 20 something years and I've maybe shared that story 3 times. Another reason why I believe we love superheroes is, I don't know about you, but I love a good old brawl. A good old brawl excites us, and y'all cannot deny it. You like good fights, and you cannot lie. Do not try to lie. You know you like them. It's the sound that comes from it, the way they do it in the movies. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. There is a particular sound that seems to me every single action movie uses. And I'm real picky about sounds. I get angry when I hear certain sounds, and there are certain sounds that rub me the wrong way. In certain movies, they all use the same I guess it's a theme or a song or something, whatever. The other thing I get ticked off, this is how picky I am. I was watching a movie, and I'm sure it's the same franchise. I just don't know it. I was watching a movie, and they tried to use the Mission Impossible. I was so mad. I was like, y'all are not Tom Cruise or Mission. I was mad. I was talking to the TV. I almost wrote a letter to the production house, but I didn't want to be that girl. But I can be. Okay. I was watching another movie, and I'm not going to even say who the actor is in this, and this is recent. And they had the nerve to play the James Bond movie. The movie was kind of James Bond-ish, so I'm thinking it was a franchise off of it. I got mad. You are not my James Bond, and you are not 007, the movie. Why are y'all playing that theme music? Like, I almost wrote a letter to the production company because I will do that. I will do it. I've done it many times on different occasions and for different issues because I need you to know that's annoying. See, it's about the branding. If you've branded this other thing as this, don't try to mascot it and put it over to this other thing, which is not this. But anyway, y'all, that got me heated. Just even take a deep breath. It got me heated just even thinking about it. I get real serious. All right. Another thing is, and this may not be a big deal for some of you, but for some of us it is. We can really get into seeing a sure reflection of some kind of social change that we want to see or that we're seeing. So, for example, if I'm the superhero that every time a kid gets bullied, I straighten that up, then maybe y'all will stop doing this bullying, because if not, then somebody gonna take care of you and make sure you get embarrassed. And now that you've been bullied, how does it feel now? Not so good. So when we see social change that we want to see, for example, I also mentioned this, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm just going to only give it to you brief. I've noticed that they've been doing a lot of switching of characters in a lot of the superhero movies. Who used to be a man, now they're having women play these. But then also, if it used to be a role for a woman, men are playing it. And now I even heard a rumor, and I don't know because I don't be paying attention to it like on this level. I even heard that there was some LGBTQIAX element, GQR, whatever, LBGQIA superheroes. I can't name them because I don't know, but I've heard this on different entertainment shows where they're talking about, and and so is gay, and I'm like, okay, everybody wants to be reflected. And so if there was a time where you never saw men on men or women on women kissing on regular broadcast TV, there was a time when you also didn't see Black people on TV. There was a time when you could never see a Chinese person or a Mexican person on TV. There was a time when women didn't have lead roles. So what I'm saying is that representation is important. I stand behind that 1,000%. That representation is important. I've had to represent in just about every age group I've been in, my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and now I'm going to be representing for the 50-year-olds. I've had to represent for women where I've sat at the table where other women couldn't sit at that same table and get contracts and grants and all of that stuff. I've sat at the table where I was the only Black person there in a sea of 5,000 others that didn't look like me, but I've represent. So representation is important. So please do not get that wrong. And if that representation also means something that reflects social change, it is what it is. It's just what it's gonna be, you know? I don't know about you, but as an adult, not as a kid, I thought that, okay, listen, let me say what I'm gonna say and then I'm gonna say that. Our comic book reading is now being presented on the big screen, and I think a lot of us like that. So what I was about to say is that when I was a kid, I thought comic books was only for boys. The reason is because it was always only boys on the front. So you see what I'm saying by representation? If I probably would have saw more women on comic books, I probably would have got into it. I didn't start collecting a few comic books, and you already know who they are. I didn't start collecting comic books until I was probably in my 40s or something. And I was in New York in Times Square, and there was a guy, street vendor. Love street vendors. I love giving cash money to street vendors. Even if you sold me a fake comic book or a fake purse or whatever, if I like whatever in the heck it is, I don't care if it's real or fake, because I'm representing for myself when I step out with whatever I have on, not for you to be able to read my labels. I don't care nothing about labels. If I like it, I like it. But also, if there's a product that has somebody else's name all over it, I will not like it. I will not pack it. So my point is this: little comic book man is on the and this has happened to me at least 3 times. I've bought comic books at least 3 times because we used to go to New York at least twice a year. We haven't done that since 2017. Probably we stopped going every year, and then after all of these last couple of years, we probably will never have the same flavor of going back because we just used to navigate New York in a different kind of way. But all the street vendors, we go over to Harlem, and all the street vendors will be out. And I used to like to go to Harlem because they had the Mac makeup store right there in the heart of Harlem. Then, of course, you visit, the theaters and all of that, Palo theaters and all that, and then the beauty supply place. There's just certain things we had rituals that we would do when we would go to New York. And so the street vendors would be there selling the comic books or whatever for like literally $3 or whatever, still in the plastic, still brand new. So my thought is probably that they stole them from somewhere and then they came to the street and sold them. And just to make the sales, they sold them for way cheaper than what they were valued. So when I see things like that and you selling it for $3, I'm gonna give you a 5 because I'm not gonna sit there and trying to count change out to make sure I give you 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna buy like 4 or 5 from you. And so we're gonna do 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm gonna give you a hot 20, not hot as in fake, but just hot to your touch, because in the hood, that's we call it a hot 20. I'm gonna give you this hot 20. You're gonna give me them hot books, hot as in stolen. You're gonna give me them hot books, and I'm gonna get what I want. You're gonna get what you want, and we're gonna both smile at each other. And I'm walking on to the next vendor. Now, what you got? You got videotapes? I can't even tell y'all the bootleg videotapes I've bought from vendors on the street. Because I'm not all about dry snitching on myself, so I'm not gonna even tell you some of the VHS tapes I used to have and CDs I used to have of some of the most interesting videos of people. I'm not even gonna say, when it used to be the hardest thing to find, all I had to do was pick up the phone and make a phone call, and I could get any DVD, CD with anybody videotape in it that I want to get, whether you're in Hollywood or not. But the street vendors that used to sell the comic books, oh, I loved them. I've got comic books that are like 8.5 by 11, 11 by 14, still in the plastic today. I've never taken them out of the plastic, still in the plastic. And then what I also love about it is I then found a street vendor who had the metal pictures of the comedian, I mean, not the comedians, but the comic heroes, and then of some of my other actors that I love. Like I have a Lucille Ball metal one. I think I bought my daughter a Marilyn Monroe one because she loves Marilyn Monroe. Angie does. And then I have one with the Incredible Hulk. I may have 2 of them and 2 Lucille Ball ones because I was in 2 different states where I bought those. And they're up on the wall in my office because I love looking at them and the stories behind them. I love remembering them. So comic books kind of come to the big screen for us, and that gives us a little extra oomph on why we love it. I mentioned a little earlier about the sounds and the magic that happens in the movies, and one of the reasons is because we have such amazing software at this point that you pretty much can create anything. You can make somebody look a different way. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, whatever, Will Smith played in a movie. I did watch it. It was good. I watched it maybe a year later, but I'm never in a hurry I don't have to do anything real fast. So I eventually got a chance to watch the movie where he played himself and then his younger self. And so CGI can make you look younger. It can make you look older. It can make you look bigger. It can make you look skinnier. It can make you look like somebody that's not even a human, or it can make you look like an animal or whatever. And I've seen the behind, I wish they wouldn't show us the behind the scenes, but I've seen the behind the scenes on how they make it happen. And a lot of it, I wish they wouldn't tell us because, a little bit of mystery is okay. It's kind of like I was thinking yesterday. I heard this man say the word highlighter, and he said the word something pertaining to a wig. And I literally said to myself out loud, I was talking to myself and didn't even realize it until after I said it, and it made me mad. I said, I wish we could go back to the day where people didn't know the secrets. I wish we could go back to the day where I never knew how CGI was done. I wish we could go back to the day that I never knew that they do this video game type of thing to create an animal fighting a human when it's really just two humans, but they turn the human in. I wish we could go back to me not knowing that. I wish I had not seen the behind the scenes of the Black Panther. I wish I, never in my life, I could live the rest of my life and never hear a man talk about personal things about a woman. Don't talk about anything personal about me. Don't talk about, femininity. Don't talk about hair weave. Don't talk about how my highlighter and contouring is on my face. Like, you should not be concerned with womanly things. Just like women should not be concerned with manly things. Like, it's not our business how they get their beards shaved, and unless we're the barber, of course. It's not our business if they shave their full bodies, which I find to be absolutely disgusting for a man to remove all the hair from his body. We're going to probably maybe have to have a show on that because make me have a little throw up in my mouth right then. I find it disgusting. Give me a woolly mammoth and a caveman with a lumberjack man shirt on and a nice silver and black beard. I'm good. Whew. Oh Lord, that took a little energy out of me. But anyway, the software that is around right now is amazing. So, when you're reading a comic book, you can make your mind go into any frame of thought that you want it to go in, but to see it and bring it to life and be able to see it gives you even more energy to want to create even something better. You may end up being the next person that creates even a better software, or you could come up with even better ideas when instead of it having 8 tentacles, it should have had 12, whatever, The next thing is, I do like there's more and more spinoffs being created. You had Batman, and then there was a talk of Batgirl. You have Superman, and there's Supergirl. If they ever turn the Flash into a girl, I quit. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to see a girl moving around that fast. We got different body parts, and we don't need them to be in a flash. The Flash is fine in his onesie, and everything is proportioned properly. You don't see any lumps and bumps and humps and nothing anatomic. You don't see, it's just smooth, plain. You don't sexualize him, nothing. I feel like if a girl put that onesie on, now you're looking at her lumps and bumps, or as Fergie say, lovely lady lumps. So I don't want to see that in my superheroes. I'm not interested. So anyway, don't turn Flash into a girl if y'all are listening. So the spinoffs have been wonderful, which is why, for example, the picture that you see, it is absolutely cluttered with so many superheroes, which makes me think, well, if these superheroes really lived in our universe right now today, all of them, they would be bumping into each other because they all have a different cause, and it would be too much. It would be too much. I have to worry about Iron Man all flying all over the house and stuff, not minding his business, trying to make sure that the villain ain't trying to come up over here, because the villain was kind of cute. So, trying to make sure the villain ain't trying to come over here. Like, I like you, Iron Man, and I like the person who plays him, right? Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. But that's too much. It's too much flying, and too much flying, too much running fast, too much extra hand length, too much fire coming from the mouth, too much webs coming from the hands. It's too much. Too many little tight outfits and going on. It's too much. So I'm glad they do one movie at a time. Now, I confessed earlier that I never knew the difference between what was a Marvel movie and what was a DC. I still don't care, to be honest with you. But I think that we also like superhero movies because of the feud with the Marvel and the DC lovers. I never knew the difference. And now that I know there is a difference, I still don't see the difference. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And it doesn't matter. Like I'll say, I'm going to see a movie or whatever, and somebody will say, oh, okay, yeah, that's made by DC. And I'm like, I want to say I don't care, but for those fanatics, they would really probably roll their eyes at me. But there is a difference apparently. But since I don't know the difference in any of them, I mix them all up. So anyway, another reason I think we love superheroes is because guess what? Every year in October on the 31st is celebrated as Halloween. And it gives us a great opportunity to then decide if we want to dress up like our superheroes. Not everybody for Halloween wants to dress up as a dead person or a zombie or whatever. There are some of us who would want to dress up as a cute superhero like a Supergirl or like a Wonder Woman or Catwoman or so. There's some of us who want to dress up cute like that. I know in my car club we have a lady who she painted her entire car. Now when I say painted, I mean she put a wrap on it, but her entire car is painted out of the Joker, and it's whatever the last Joker movie was. I never seen it, so I can't tell you, but I mean apparently she's pretty proud of it, and it's her car and she committed to it and she put it on her car brand new. So that's her thing, is the Joker. So Halloween, it's every single year. So if we chose 5 villains or 5 superheroes we like, then we've got 10 years of Halloween costumes because there's 5 villains and 5 superheroes. That's 10 years of costumes. Now, if I had to dress up for Halloween, who y'all think I would be? I'm going to tell y'all who I would be, because my other confession is I've never dressed up as a superhero for any type of Halloween costume type of thing. I've always done something fun, like, like a naughty nurse or, just something like that. Or choose like a profession or something, like a lawyer or, some cute little outfit or whatever. But if I had to, if my hands was tied, and y'all said you gotta dress up as a superhero, then I've decided who I would be. I would be the Incredible Hulk's wife. That's what I would be. And so when people would be like, oh my gosh, she's so cute and green. Well, who are you? Because we don't know that green. I'm the Incredible Hulk's wife. He turned green when he get mad. Well, I'm just gonna stay mad all the time. But y'all, I used to love me some Incredible Hulk for real, to the point that I thought at one point, you know what, I need to meet Lou Ferrigno. But after I saw him, I was like, no, I really like the Green Man. I really like that. Don't get me wrong. When Lou Ferrigno came and was playing on Kings of Queen and he was the neighbor, ooh, when I tell you I got an extra energy and an extra excitement and an extra be right there on time to watch that show to see what little 3 words he was going to say on there. Ooh, I was so excited. And I would just imagine him green. I got issues, but anyway. My final point is this. And before I say my final point, please make sure that you subscribe to all of the shows so you'll know when they're all coming out. Hit the notification bell. If you've missed some of our shows, go back and watch them. Give us a comment. Let me know. Definitely join us over on Instagram. On Instagram, I post anywhere from 3 to 7 times a day, information, fun stuff, funny stuff, inspiring quotes, inspiring pictures, real life of things that I'm doing, what I'm eating at different restaurants that I'm trying to tell you. I want you to go there, especially if you don't live in Houston and you travel to Houston. You should be able to go to our page and look at all of the different places we go, because I try to go to places where I've never been before or have not gone in the last 5 years or more. We don't like to repeat. Now that I've gotten that out the way. Oh, and if you want to support the podcast through Cash App, it's $MDI podcast. But listen, my final point is, y'all know that whole take over the universe thing is so wild and such a godlike persona that we think we can handle it, because we think we have the power in our head. We think we have the power to actually be able to do the Lord's work. Now, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that if you just watch 3 of these DC or Marvel, whatever one you choose, if you watch them, it's all about domination. It's like when Thanos did what he did. I don't want to give stuff away. When Thanos did what he did in the last whatever movie it was, and you're just like, oh, he wiped it all away. Y'all know if you read your Bible, it says all the things that's going to happen when the Lord returns. You see this in these movies. If you're not watching it with an eye of education, an eye of learning, an eye of recognizing, an eye of identifying and looking at what it means to you, and you're not watching it the way you maybe want to watch it. Like if you listen to my show maybe 3 or 4 or 5 shows ago, I talked about I went to the movie theater. I was so excited. I got dressed. I was there early and I was ready to see Nope because I wanted to support Jordan Peele. I wanted to support the movie because I love Kiki and I support her. I even told you that I supported her talk show when she had it years ago on BET. So I was a ready, willing, and able customer. But the movie was so terrible. And I was looking at it from an eye of how can this movie save itself before I leave the theater? And it never happened. To the point that I had to block out that Kiki was even in it because I wanted to give her kudos for just being a great actor that she is. Okay? So she gets no fault of this. Whoever wrote this thing, start over. Whoever directed this thing, start over. Whoever's idea was to structure it the way you structured it wasn't a great idea. So all I'm saying is, if I'm not learning something from it, I'm not watching it. If I can't relate to it, because remember, in my show when I talked about Nope, my last pointer in there was just like the new movie Nope, and just like the new CD that Beyonce put out. My bottom line was they wasn't talking to me. And so since you're not talking to me, then I'm just not going to get involved because you ain't talking to me. You did not make this product for me. So I pretty much feel like I was excluded because it wasn't talking to me. I wonder if I need to start a class action lawsuit for all of us who felt like we were excluded because the movie wasn't talking to us and didn't give us a reflection, and because Beyonce's new album Renaissance wasn't really for us, it was for other people. I wonder if we could start like a class action lawsuit for the pain and for that movie, The Disgust, and the heartache and the money that, I spent that $13 at the movie theater at a 10 o'clock movie. I hate to see what the 10 p.m. movie costs. And also I want a refund back for my popcorn and everything too. But like if we started a class action lawsuit against all these terrible, and Beyonce's Renaissance is not terrible by any point. I listened to every single song. It just wasn't talking to me. Now, I liked everything on there. Even with all the controversy with the song Church Girl, I liked every single song on there. But it didn't make me dance. It didn't make me move. I thought it was an excellent album. It just wasn't talking to me. The Nope movie, not only was it not talking to me, it wasn't a great product. It wasn't good. It didn't excite me. It didn't bring me any joy. It made me mad. I was mad for 72 hours. And then after the 72 hours, I started letting everybody I know that was asking me what I thought about the movie. They called and asked me, and I let them know how horrible it was. Because I was kind of like the guinea pig to go see it first, because they're like, okay, if she like it, then I'll go see it. If she don't like it, I'm not sure. That's kind of how it goes. And then I went back and I read all the reviews, and I was just like, I'm not crazy. That's the show for today for the Mother Daughter Ish podcast. And I have had so much fun breaking this down on a day where this was not my planned topic. I had a whole nother topic that I was going to do with you. And this just hit me heavy. And I was like, break this thing down from your perspective of how you feel about it and how you think it relates to people and how it relates to you. So that's our show for today on why I believe we love superheroes. And give us a comment on why you love superheroes. Bye for now.
Hey, it's Miss Dawn. You wondering how you can support our show, Mother-Daughter-ish? We have Cash App, we have PayPal, and we do have Vimeo. Support our show so that we can reach out to more women. Our goal is to reach and build a community of 1 million women. Why don't you come on and help us do that?